Do you love your dog more than most people? Well, then definitely tune in today as we are going to dig into how to customize your house for your dog and make it even more enjoyable. This is Jessica Duncan's Just My Opinion, and I'm Jessica. There's no handbook to owning a home. That's why I go beyond the transaction to share my tips, advice, and insights for adulting made simple. Our pets, especially our dogs, are so important to our lives. They're not just a dog. They are man's best friend, but they become part of our families. So today we are addressing how to customize your home for your dog and ways you can make your home more dog friendly and some pretty cool things that you can do that are a little extra. But if you're anything like me and your dog is your child, he is my four-legged furry child, then you'll definitely want to listen to all of these tips and insights to help you improve your home for your dog. So I know this is sort of crazy, but there's a lot of times I joke people buy homes for their dogs. But people who the kids are out of the house or who have never had children, or even those that have had children, love their animals and especially their dogs. And so when we're looking at houses, a lot of times they'll say things like, well, I need to make sure my dog has room for this, or I need to make sure I have this for my dog. They're part of the family and we want them to be just as comfortable in our new home. So first, let's start with when you're shopping for the house. So we're going to start with shopping and then we'll go into what you can customize for it. So when you're shopping for that new house, you want to make sure you're keeping in mind your dog. Do you have a big dog or do you have a little dog? What size yard do they need? Do they need a big yard? If they're like my dog, he needs his own swimming pool. Yes, he has to have a swimming pool because he is a spoiled boy. He swims 3 or 4 times a day, no matter what the temperature is outside. So he has to have a pool, of course. A lot of people will tell me, well, I have to have a fenced-in backyard because I have a dog. And that is true. You do need a fenced-in yard. But I will say we're going to talk more about the different types of fencing. And don't let a fence stop you from buying the right house. That's a very, very easy fix. Now, the size of the yard, that's a different story. You can't make it bigger after you buy it. But you can always add different types of fencing. So don't let a fence stop you from buying the right house. Sometimes if a doggy door is important to you, you want to think about, is there a place you can put a doggy door? Now, I have a very large lab who I do not want to have a doggy door because not only does he swim a lot, he would probably try and bring me animals inside the house, and I just don't want to experience that. So it would have to be such a large doggy door. We choose not to have one. If you're going to have a doggy door in your house, then think about where that doggy door would be. Will it be centrally located in a good point for you? And, doggy doors can be added, but you want to think about where can they and can't they be added. I would not recommend ever adding a doggy door to a bricked-in area, but maybe in a sliding glass door or in an exterior wall that is not brick. That may be an okay idea because it can be easily repaired in the future, but I would not cut a hole in a brick wall to add a doggy door. So just keep that in mind when you're searching for that new house. So let's talk about all the cool ways you can customize this house for your four-legged friend. So one of the things you can do is flooring. Obviously, carpet is not always dog friendly. They love to roll around outside and then also in the carpet. Or again, if your lab swims all the time like mine does, you can't fully get them dried off. So they like to come inside and roll. So we went with a LVP that is very durable and water resistant. Matter of fact, the cover of the box has a golden retriever or a lab, one of the two, shaking water off on the floor. So I knew it was very, very durable. We actually took a sample piece, took it home and tested it before we did the entire house in it. So that is definitely one way to customize your house for more you than your dog, I guess. Easier to clean for you. And we also added an electronic robot because with an 80-pound lab running through the house, it's a lot of hair. So we have an electronic vacuum robot that goes around the house to help us keep the hair under control and vacuum every day. You can also do customized furniture for their crates. I remember years ago we had 3 dogs, and who wants to have 3 crates sitting around the middle of their living room or in a laundry room? So when we got our latest dog, our one and only Finn right now, we had a customized entertainment center, I guess you could call it, built. It's a large stand that goes underneath our TV, but it is a built-in dog kennel built to his height, his dimensions, so that he would have more than enough room, but it also looks like a piece of furniture. I've I've also seen there's end table ones. If you have a smaller dog, not only can you have these custom built, which there's a great guy in Crestview that custom builds them. So if you need one, let me know. Reach out to me, DM me, and I'll get you his name and number. He's a great craftsman. But there's also companies online that will sell pre-made furniture that is end tables or coffee tables that are also dog crates for small dogs. So it blends in. It doesn't look like a crate sitting around. It actually looks like a piece of furniture. So let's talk about installing the doggy door. Now, we talked about whenever you're looking for the house, you want to make sure if you're going to have a doggy door that there's a place that it's going to make sense in the house. And the doggy doors for me has never been a choice because I have a large dog and I'm terrified that my dog will bring in small animals to me, unfortunately, at times. Although he can't seem to catch them, so I don't know, but I have this fear of it. But if you have a smaller dog or a dog that's not attracted to animals or wanting to chase them, then this may be a great option for you. And if you do have a larger dog, but maybe they're not into the animals, one of the cool things I saw at a house that I was showing, they had this large dog and this large doggy door. And I thought, wow, a person could climb through that. They have a special collar on them, though, that the door only opens when that collar comes up to the door. So your house can be locked and secured, but the dog can go in and out anytime they want just by walking up to the door. It clicks, opens up, and then it shuts right behind it. So still keeps your house secure, but allows your dog to decide when they want to go in or go out. Another way you can customize your house for your dog is fencing in certain areas or creating dog runs. So if you have a larger yard or a swimming pool, maybe there's times you don't want to allow your dog near the swimming pool, or if you have a small dog that you're worried about falling in the pool, you can fence off areas for your pool and then areas for a dog run for the dog to use the bathroom or more to stretch their legs, but to keep them in certain areas of your backyard. So here lately, over the past couple years, we've seen an even more increase in when people are building the house or doing major remodels, how they're customizing areas for their dogs. So we have seen these gorgeous full bathing stations for dogs. And so it is a shower or bathtub, I guess you could say, where the dog hops up in it. I have seen them both on the ground or where the dog hops up and is like waist level. So you don't have to bend over and break your back the whole time. And then there's a water spigot that comes out with a spray head on it. Makes it super easy, almost like a dog grooming station to be able to wash your dog. And I've seen those in a couple of houses recently, both in the laundry room and in mudroom areas to make it super easy to wash your dog. That's a pretty cool customization. So talking about having these dog washing stations or grooming stations, we even did it customized in our shower. We wanted to initially put a large bench in there that was big enough for our dog to jump up on so that we wouldn't have to bend over to wash him. Unfortunately, we ran out a little bit of room and priorities had to come into play. So we did not get that bench. But one of the things we did in our shower, which is rather large, we installed another spray nozzle, but about waist height so that it's closer to him and we're not having to fight with him to keep him up against the wall. It reaches over his whole body. I will say that when we were buying all the shower heads, and I'm like, no, we need three spray nozzles. The lady selling us the parts was sort of shocked. I think she wondered if we had another spouse in the household, but I explained to her it was for our dog. So that's a pretty cool thing we did just to make it easier when washing the dog. We also added a covered area off of our back door. The door that we use for our dog, we have trained him. We live in Gulf Breeze, so we have a lot of sand. And so he is trained in the mornings when the ground is a little wet or dewy. He comes to the door and lifts his paws because we have a little foxtail that we dry and wipe off his paws with every day. So we've added a cover over that door so that when it is raining, we do have a spot not only to clean his paws, but also dry him off. And we have a little spot that we put our foxtail there. Another one that I've seen is at the end of islands or different areas like that, a custom water and feeding station. So they'll have built in, I've seen them where the doors open or where they just remain open the whole time, but where you have your dog food bowl and then you also have a water bowl. And right above the water bowl is almost like a pop filler that we see over the stove that fills the dog bowl with water all the time. So you can just turn it on, fill it up. You don't have to lift a bowl anywhere. It's super easy. That's really cool. And that's been a huge trend in homes here lately. I've been to a couple houses recently that I've seen these cool water features that actually it's a water fountain and it just constantly flows with water. So the dog feels like they're always getting fresh water. I thought that was really, really cool. And you just fill it and it constantly flows like a hydrant. It's also very relaxing and soothing, that the sound it makes. And as we're talking about feeding too, there's also automatic feeders. So you can set it up on a timer. It will automatically feed your dog. So if you have the doggy door where they could go out and you could automatically feed your dog, you wouldn't be rushing home always to feed your dog like I do, unless you just absolutely miss them like I do and need to see them. So of course, providing a great comfortable area for your dog to sleep. There's lots of customization there. We talked about the furniture, but also steps up to your bed. If your dog does sleep in your bed with you, then there are customized steps, especially as they get older, to allow them to get up there, or if they can't jump that high. I've also seen these really cool platforms. So you have the bed, but then next to the bed is this built out platform with steps that go up to it. So the dog has his own bed or her bed right next to your bed. So they can look over, see you. You can just reach out and pet them, but they're not actually in your bed. I thought that was pretty cool. I recently saw that at a showing I was doing. Now, I'm sure we've all seen these, but these new cameras for dogs. So, of course, you can do the normal cameras just like you would do on the exterior of your home. You can put them on the inside of your home so that you can keep an eye on your furry friend while you're not at home. But they make these new ones. Not only can you keep an eye on them, but you can also give them a treat. So from your cell phone, you can log in, check on your puppy and talk to them and then give them a treat and tell them they're being good. I thought that was really cool. We have not expanded to that yet, but it's definitely a cool idea. Having a lab that is definitely food driven. I haven't figured out how to put carrots in there because our boy is on a very strict diet because he's very food motivated. So let's talk about fencing. There's a lot of different type of fencing that you can do on your property for your dog. Of course, there's traditional fencing. You have chain link fence and privacy fencing, but there's also things like underground fence or even radius collars. So underground fence is where you actually bury a fence, underground electronic fence that attaches to a collar that gives them warnings so they know how far they can go and not to cross over it. There is a little bit of training involved with those. And then also there's what's called radius. So that is just where it creates a certain radius and you can control what that is of where your dog can go instead of being just on property boundaries, but it's super easy to do. You just plug it in and go. So you're not having to bury a bunch of underground fence or anything like that. And then there's these really cool ones that have come out recently. They're newer. So I don't know how great the technology is. I know about 2 years ago, I read into it pretty deeply and it was needing some work. So hopefully they've come a long way now, but where you can do sort of a combination of the two anywhere you go. So let's say you take your dog camping with you or to a friend's house. With your cell phone, you can walk around and set a perimeter that animal is allowed to go in. So it's almost like a radius or underground fence, but it's set with your phone and can be changed at any time. I thought that was really cool. I love the technology. Hopefully they're improving it. Like I said, last time I checked into it, they needed some improvement, but I think that's a really cool idea and I love where they're going with it. So another cool thing I've seen, I haven't seen it locally except for one time, but I've seen it a lot online lately, is where you can actually put a cutout for your dog in the fence to be able to see. So imagine you have a privacy fence and there is a little bubble of clear plastic that the dog can see out and see the front yard or see the road going by. I think they're really cool. You do them to your dog's height. I've seen those once here locally, but I've seen them a lot online, even with condos and multi-level places where the dog can see out and see what's going on. That's a really cool experience for your dog to give them all the views they want. I know our dog loves to lay at the front window and it goes all the way down to the floor so he can lay his head right there on the windowsill and get it all dirty as he looks out and watches every car go by. Let's talk about pool safety, because if you're going to have a pool, you need to be very careful. One of the things that we have always done with our dogs anytime we have a pool is we teach them where the steps are. So right now our lab is 5 years old, but the day we got him, the day he came home, the first thing we did is put him in the pool and we teach him to go to the side and then swim until he finds the steps. That way, if he's out in the middle of the night using the restroom, especially when they're puppies and you're trying to housebreak them, they go out a lot. We didn't want them to accidentally fall in and drown and not know what to do. So if you do have a dog, treat it just like you would a kid. You got to make sure they have pool safety. You got to make sure they know how to get out of the pool. With our older dogs that have since passed, but when they were older, we had a little Chihuahua mix that lived about 17 years. And I just really worried about her forgetting where the steps were in the pool. So throughout the year, every now and then, I would just randomly push her in the pool to make sure she remembered how to get out, because the last thing I wanted to do is her to fall in when I wasn't around. So I would just push her in and make sure she remembered. She wasn't a big swimmer and didn't like to be in there, but I wanted to make sure if it happened, one of the other dogs knocked her in, she knew how to get out, because that would just be devastating. So if you are going to have a pool and animals around it, make sure you're using your pool safety as well. And also, while we're talking about pool safety, if you have a dog that can't swim, there are certain breeds that do not swim, and you're going to have them out by the pool. Maybe you're grilling out, having some people over. Make sure you put a life jacket on them. So we've talked about all the things to look for in a home when you are going to buy it that can be ideal for a dog owner. We've talked about cool ways that you can customize your home and make your home even better for your furry friend. And we've talked about all the different types of fencing and pool safety issues that you need to do to make sure your home is comfortable, not only for you, but for your dog. That way you both enjoy it, and a happy dog is going to make a happy parent. Each week, I like to do a home hack, and a home hack is just something that makes your life easier, some cool gadget, something just to make the homeowner experience more pleasurable. And since we're talking about dogs today, I'm going to make it all about Doggy Dool. So when your dog goes to the bathroom outside in the yard, obviously it needs to be picked up, especially when he goes number 2. Well, they make these things called Doggy Dools, and it's a place to put it into the ground. So instead of bagging it and then putting it in the trash can and having all of those plastic bags as well that need to be taken care of, this is actually a little device that gets buried down in the ground, and it's just got a little lid on top that you open up as you shovel all of the poop from around your yard. You just dump it in and think of it as like a natural compost for your doggy doo. It is called Doggie Dooley. There's a couple different brands, but that's the one I've seen the most. So check it out. We're not sponsored by them or anything like that, but I think it's a pretty cool tool to make home ownership even easier with a dog. This has been Just My Opinion, and thank you so much for joining me today. Make sure whatever podcast device you are listening to us on, or YouTube, you subscribe, like, or follow. That way you never miss an episode. And if you have any questions for us, shoot me a DM. I'd love to hear them, love to answer them on the show, and we may just have you on the show. See you again soon for Adulting Made Simple.